I'm Pastor Aaron Harris, and in this video, you're gonna learn why looking poor is important. There's a saying that poor people try to look rich and rich people try to look poor. That means that some people who aren't actually rich try to make it look like they are rich, while at the same time, some people who are rich try to make it look like they're not rich. The book Millionaire Next Door talks about how most millionaires do not drive fancy cars, live in a mansion, and go on exotic vacations, but instead, most millionaires live in modest homes and drive regular cars. Growing up, my neighborhood best friend lived in the exact same model home that I lived in, and my family actually drove a newer car than his family did. On the surface, it looked like our families were in very similar financial situations. But in reality, my family was living paycheck to paycheck while his family had well over $1 million net worth. In our society today, many people feel pressure to display the wealth that they have through their material possessions, such as their car, their home, their clothes, or the things that they buy. That's why over 65% of people making between $50,000 and $100,000 a year still live paycheck to paycheck, and why almost 50% of people making over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck as well. Many people that live paycheck to paycheck are living beyond their means. You can live beyond your means, you can live at your means, or you can live below your means. And one habit that rich people have is going and living below their means. The reason that many people live beyond their means is because of lifestyle inflation. That means that the more money that they make or the more money they receive, the more money they spend. Meaning if they get a new job that pays higher, then they may get a new home that costs more. Or if they get a promotion or a raise and receive more money, then they go and they spend it on a car that costs more money. Meaning no matter how much money they receive, they find a way to increase the habits of their lifestyle spending so that they're still living paycheck to paycheck. So the concept of looking poor means that you're not trying to keep up with the Joneses, or you're not trying to keep up with the Kardashians, or you're not trying to constantly increase your lifestyle and your car and your home and your clothes and your vacations and what you spend money on, but instead you are content with what you have and you are able to live below your means. So one reason that living below your means is important is because it allows you the opportunity to focus on financial stability and security rather than focusing on keeping up appearances. So when your focus is on financial security and not appearances, then what you're able to do is you're able to focus on building a strong financial foundation for both yourself and your family. This helps you to focus on what is important financially, like paying off any of your high interest debts, going and making sure that you have an emergency savings fund for when an emergency happens, that you'll be able to take care of it and not go into debt to get yourself out of that situation, and make sure that you are adequately investing in your future so that you don't get a surprise when it's time for you to retire and you realize that you don't have enough money to retire on. So when you're not spending money on expensive items to impress others, then what you're able to do is you're able to allocate those resources, you're able to take that money and you can save it and invest it for your financial vision. And when you invest that money that would have been spent on a more expensive home or a more expensive car or more expensive clothes, when you take those funds and invest them, what you'll find is that compound interest will begin working, your money will start growing exponentially, and you will eventually find yourself being a millionaire. So looking poor but being rich means that you take on the concept of stealth wealth. Stealth wealth means just because you have the wealth or the finances, the resources, the money, it means that you do not have to flaunt it in front of everyone else. You do not have to show everyone that you have money from your clothes, from your jewelry, from your car, from your home, but instead you're stealth with your wealth. In our social media culture today, it teaches us that everyone should be rich. We should all be millionaires. We should go buy expensive homes, mansions, cars, jewelry, wear luxury brands. But in reality, a modest lifestyle will bring a lot of people a lot less stress. When you choose to live a modest lifestyle, then you're able to focus on what really matters, like family or your spiritual health or your mental health or your emotional health, and you're really able to put yourself and others first instead of going and getting caught in a rat race of making more money so you can buy more things. And when you're not consumed by material possessions, it'll allow you to be able to retire earlier than you would if you bought a bunch of things, and it would allow you more control over your life. And by not being consumed by material possessions, what it allows you to do is go spend time pursuing your passions and those things that you really enjoy and that are really important to you. So if you ask me, I would much rather look poor and be rich than run around and try to look rich, but actually I'm poor living paycheck to paycheck. And that's why we hear of a lot of musicians and entertainers and people in sports who went out and they had a ton of money and then they spent it, and eventually they end up filing bankruptcy and they go broke. And the reason is because they were living beyond their means. They were not saving enough money. They were not investing enough money. Instead, they were trying to keep up with what others were doing. They were trying to have a good time. They were trying to impress others. And at the end of the day, it left them broke. And we can do the same thing just on a smaller scale when we're not paying attention. If we're trying to buy the newest, nicest, best things that we can afford and we're living beyond our means, or we're living at our means and we're not going and living under our means, meaning I know that I can buy this more expensive home, but I'm going to get the less expensive home. I know that I qualify for this expensive car, but I'm going to get the less expensive car. I know that I can afford to go and buy these name brand clothes and purses and bags, but instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get some regular clothes, and then I'm going to use the additional money that I have to be able to save and invest. So don't get caught up in what everyone else is doing, what everyone else is wearing, where your friends and other people are living, or what other people are driving, but instead keep your eyes on the vision that you have for your financial future and make sure that you're able to accomplish the goals that you have. If you enjoyed this video, then continue watching the videos on my page, which are all about financial literacy to help you be able to get where you want to go financially.